Hello, I'm Spackmann from Adventures with Spackmann. Today we're going to be making birch oil from distilling distilling the oil from the birch bark in a little fire. Jay wants to make some birch oil and seal his hiking stick that we got on Jay's first backpacking trip 7 years ago. And we're gonna use these cans to make the oil with. I'm using a can opener to take the top off. So the top is off. We're gonna fill it with birch bark. Take another can, cut the bottom off so that we can stick the bottom on top of this to seal off the can. Then stick it in coals. See if we can make some birch oil. We got our two components, the chamber and the top. And then once we fill this up with birch bark, we'll just put the top right on there, squeeze it down and seal it. And then set it in the coals and wait a while. We should have oil. Alright, so we figured out that we need 3 components. The chamber, a top with holes in the bottom for the oil to drip down into the collected device, like this. And then this is going to go in the ground with the fire around this until the oil's all dripped down into this. So right now, right along this, I'm puncturing holes, so when the oil is dripping, it goes right down into that groove, and drips down into our collective device. So I'm just very gently wiggling my knife, wiggle, 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 until it starts to come through the bottom. Comes through the bottom. And I'm going to continue that all the way around. I got the holes in the bottom. I made 7 all the way around. So we're ready. I think we're going to wait to do it until a little later. I don't think we're going to build up the fire right now. Right?
Nah.
So later on when we do it, I'll get back with you. Alright, I got this stuffed to the brim with birch bark. I jammed it all in with a stick, so it's pretty heavy, full of bark. I was widening the funnel part of this. I ended up ripping a crack right into it, so I had to cut it down. So I'm hoping it still will seal this enough. I think that's a good enough seal. We're gonna find out at least. It's all an experiment. We've never done this before. Just trying it out. So then now this goes upside down with the funnel in the bottom into the collection one. Just like so. And then this part of it gets buried in the ground and fire gets put around it till the fire pretty much goes out. And this is called distilling birch oil. So it's going to heat up the birch bark, which will release the oil and drip down into the container down here. That's the plan. We'll see what happens. Stay tuned. I made a shovel, a little spaded shovel, to dig down to make sure the bottom of this, the collection cup, is in the ground when we start the fire. So I'm just going to use the shovel and dig a little hole. Just deep enough. Just deep enough for the can. Maybe you can see that, maybe you can't. Then I'm going to bury the collection cup in dirt and then make a fire around it. So now I'm going to take the wood, stack it around it in a log cabin formation to get a fire going around it. Check back in with you when the fire's died down. I made a little shovel too. I'm going to use this to dig around the outside of the can. The top of the can is still really hot. Pretty curious to find out if it worked. I'm going to pull the can out, let it cool down here. I can actually see the charred white birch in there. Well, moment of truth. Moment of truth. Jay's coming over for this one. Oh, there's oil in the bottom of that. A little bit. Now how are we going to get that out of the cup? See, there's oil in the bottom there. So the process worked. Whether or not there's some in the bottom in the collection cup, got to be careful, we don't want to spill any of it. two cans work too well. Rock is nice and warm on my butt. Oh, there's a tiny bit. Can you see that?
I can't see the screen. Oh, there we go.
Can you see in the cup?
Oh yeah.
There's a little bit in there. That's cool. So the process worked. If the can didn't light on fire so fast, we would have got a lot, but there's, as you can see, the birch bark is still white. So there's a lot of birch bark still in there. Yeah, that's cool. It works. I'm going to take that little bit of oil and rub it on this. I'm going to wind my paracord around this. It's going to be a little holder for my paracord. I'm going to stain it with the oil. So birch oil has a lot of benefits, I've heard. Never tried it personally. But it can be used on like all sorts of topical rashes and stuff. There we go. I'm just gonna soak it up with the towel. Not very much. Scrape it right off of here too. That's thick, goopy oil. Oh, that's a pretty color. See if I can get enough to do the other side. That's pretty. So while we tried this out, we wanted to see if we could use it as a stain. Jay wanted to stain his hiking stick. You want to see if it's going to make it sticky or not. Scraped all that out of there. So we're testing this to see if it's sticky after it dries. That is a pretty color. We may have gotten enough to do your hiking stick if the whole thing distilled correctly.
That was worth a shot.
Yeah. But it's like maple syrup. You need a whole lot of birch bark to make a little bit of oil. Yeah, it was worth a shot to see if it would work. See if we could do it if we had to. And it did work. But it also failed. So there it is. All stained up. I like it. So, I'm Spackmann with Adventures of Spackmann. This was a bushcraft thingy. It's pretty cool. Made some oil from birch bark. Have a nice day.